Hey, welcome back. Dead ball dancing. I've got 3 cough drops in my mouth. I have taken just about as much cough medicine as you can legally take. Um, you're gonna want to unmute before we get going here, but there you go. There it is.
Back.
We've got a good set of games this week, and it starts in about 30 minutes.
It does. It does. And it's
If it's okay with you, I thought we'd do something just a little bit different today.
Let's do it. I'm following your lead, man. Come on.
Let's start with our game of the week, which is the game that tips in about 30 minutes. This is a big one, not just in our rankings, but for both of these teams as well. Houston and Alabama. What do you got, Justin?
Yeah, so I'm going to go on a soapbox today about poor coaching, but I'm going to try my best to keep it very concise right now. I still don't know who I'm going to choose. Full transparency, I really have no idea. Both teams kind of have some strengths that are pretty serious. Houston, I mean, they can shoot the ever-loving hell out of the basketball. 48% from the field, 49 from 3 this year. I have no idea how that even makes sense, but they are shooting it at a high clip. And their shot selection is what I like the most. They've only shot 83s out of their 255 shots. That, to me, is how you play basketball and establish a presence inside. So I think the thing that concerns me about Houston is their lack of size. I think they've gotten away with it thus far because they're insanely athletic and, they have great coaching. But their tallest guy is a redshirt freshman who has not played a game this year. And they're going up against Alabama, who has Grant Nelson at 6'11", Jaron Stevenson at 6'11", and all of their guards are like 6'5" and up. So for me, they've made it work, but I'm just wondering if the length and athleticism for Alabama is going to be a bit too much for them. Now, with that being said, I have zero idea what Alabama's game plan for Houston is going to be, because what they're doing thus far this year is not working. They're shooting 49% overall this year, which honestly isn't that bad, right? But out of their 314 shots, 146 of them have been threes, and they're shooting 29% from 3. So for me, it's like, with all this size and athleticism, why aren't you pounding the ball inside? It's the same thing I'll say with Creighton. It's the same thing I'm going to say with Arizona. And I'm worried that Alabama's shot selection is going to lead them into a big deficit early, which is why I'm going with Houston as my pick. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, but I'm just not confident in their game plan to have them take on Houston.
This is officially the first dead ball dancing game of the week that is featured on Chainlink.
Yep.
Looks hella good. Links directly to the YouTube.
The blue.
Yeah, man, it's sharp looking.
Oh, that's good.
This game for me, there's a lot of reasons that I'm afraid of Alabama. But the big thing I wanted to talk about as a positive for Alabama, it is early in the season.
Fair.
They have played drastically different types of teams.
True.
Houston scores more points and gives up fewer points than Alabama does on a per-game basis. Fact.
Yep.
You can qualify it 19 different ways.
Yeah.
The one thing Alabama does is start hot.
Yeah.
They start really, really quick.
They do.
I already bet Alabama first half team total over. Alabama first half money line.
Okay.
I think Alabama comes out and blows the doors off this Houston team.
Interesting.
And then fades late. I also have Houston winning.
Yeah.
Alabama has a game against Rutgers tomorrow.
I know.
Rutgers is not Houston, but Rutgers is a team you have to look forward to, especially coming off a game against Houston. They play very different basketball. I think Alabama's going to be well coached enough to come out, play strong, put up points, and I think they're going to fade down the stretch. I think this Houston team is better. I think this Houston team is deeper. Alabama has probably the better stars. They probably have the better top of the roster, but that's not going to work when you have a game tomorrow. Someone is going to be watching these guys' minutes. Someone. Doesn't mean the coach listens, but there is an assistant who is going to be monitoring these guys' minutes. And if they make a substitution at exactly the wrong time, that might be all it takes for Houston to go on a run and erase everything that Alabama has done up to that point in the game. And if you're tie game against Houston with 5 minutes left, who you picking?
Yeah, I'm taking Houston. Just they seem more experienced, right? I feel like their coaching, Kelvin Sampson's a little bit better. And it's funny you mentioned the kind of the first half, second half disparity. That's kind of been the thing with them all season too, Rick. I mean, they're out rebounding teams on a plus 6.2 margin every game this year, but it's all coming in the first half, and then the second half they're getting out rebounded. It's so funny looking at the disparity. So, I think I just don't know if their game plan is going to be strong enough. I agree with you fully that they might go 10 for 20 out of threes in the first half and go into the first half up by 10 or 15. But I don't have the confidence in their game plan for them to close it out. I'm with you.
So you see our rankings here: Houston at 3, Alabama at 9. We'll go ahead and throw it back now. I wanted to get that out of the way because it's like upcoming. Like,
oh, I know
now.
Yeah. Dude, what's the spread on that game? If you don't know, on the Houston Bama, do you know that?
I want to say close. It was sitting like 4.5.
Minus 4.5 for Houston.
Houston.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I'll pull up while you're waxing poetic about the top 25.
Hey, no, I'm going to start my top 25 spiel with the game of the week last week. Holy crap. St. John's and Baylor, man. I mean, what a basketball game. I mean, there was 2,000 people in that arena, which is like full capacity. And like, it was like the loudest arena. It was like a Final Four atmosphere, man. It was, I don't know. I came out of that game so impressed with St. John's because they made a statement to me. They said, look, we're still the little guy on the block, but we can hang with this team. Baylor won the Big 10 championship like a couple of years ago. Big 12 championship a couple of years ago. So it's like, this is not a no-nothing team. Yeah. 55% from the field, 58% from three. And the reason they lost is because they shot 58 from free throws. And that just shows me a little bit of that inexperience for St. John's. But, man, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the way they played and not so impressed with Baylor. They just given – that lackluster effort in the St. John's game and then getting absolutely worked by Tennessee.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure did you see that game? Tennessee was up 39-9 at one point, dude. So I mean, I'm going to stop there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the game of the week recap from last week, but my goodness, man, what a great basketball game.
Yeah, I mean, all I know is that we pick winners. I mean, we pick great games for our audience to watch. If you're not watching our game of the week, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, straight up.
If you're watching live today, you can go straight into the game of the week. If you're not watching live, hopefully you had it on. Hopefully you're on Chain Link and you saw what the selection was. Little sneak preview.
Oh yeah.
Now, obviously, Creighton fell precipitously in our rankings here. St. John's down, Baylor down. Some of the teams you've mentioned here. Just looking at the top 5, really no change. Houston, Gonzaga, flip-flop. I don't really have strong feelings about that either way. But now Tennessee, off some strong performances, sitting right outside the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
Really quickly, can we do something?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to power rank undefeated teams with exactly 7 wins.
Okay, you got to tell me who they are.
There's only one. It's Wisconsin. There was 2, but Columbia won their game yesterday. They're now 8-0.
Oh my God! Hey, we'll get to Wisconsin in a second, but
yeah, Wisconsin number one in my heart, number 1 in that statistic. I'll take that.
I had them ranked pretty high. I had them up there. Yeah. 14. I had them at 14 this week, man. So.
Yeah, up to 16 in our rankings. Ken Palm showing some love.
Yep.
Marquette 11 up in our rankings all the way to 12. Now, we had kind of talked about how they hadn't done anything wrong, right? And it was just everyone around them playing well. Marquette came out and did something real right.
Yep.
And, in our rankings and Ken Palm and even the AP 25 just reflect like this is a really, really good team. Everyone was just waiting for them to play a real team. Well, they did.
Yeah.
And they beat that ass. And now you see them sitting up here. We have them immediately behind Purdue Marquette at 11 and 12.
Yeah.
And Marquette's got some big games coming up here, including Wisconsin.
Yeah. And they got Iowa State. They got Dayton too, which we'll get to there in a second. But again, like I don't know if this is just the way that the game is going. So maybe you can help me out with this. Like it might just be Steph Curry or something. But 57 for 178 on threes, 111 for 188 inside the line. So 32% versus 60%. Is it just stats? I'm not getting it because they beat Purdue. I got nothing to say. Purdue looked like garbage. Marquette's defense turned us over a ton of times. Like good for Marquette, but the shot disparity that I'm seeing on some of these teams, Marquette, Arizona, Creighton, Alabama, is it stats? I don't get it.
I think it's a system that kind of has grown out. Like think of those teams, right? They're either like the equivalent of blue bloods in the mid majors, or they're major programs who are fresh on the block.
Yeah.
Right. So they don't have like this is the way we do it. You know, you really got to play toward your skill set. And when the shots are falling the way they are, sometimes you can't change your offensive system quickly enough to adapt.
Yeah.
And so really in the Marquette games that I've seen, they just shoot. They shoot a lot. And when they're falling, they're winning. And when they're not falling, they step up so hard on defense to make up for it that they can cover a lot of sins. And, you know, it's going to work in conference play. Now, they are better than their entire conference. So I think what we're seeing is actually pretty good representation of what we can expect the rest of the year from this team. And I don't think we have to worry about it again until tournament time, because if you've played bad fundamental basketball all year, that's where it catches you, right? The tournament rights all the wrongs and wrongs all the rights. And
I mean, and they held Purdue to 58 points. To your point, like their defensive effort has just been outstanding the entire year. And you couple that with the fact that their 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, like that's no matter how you're shooting, if you make a really good point, you're going to win a lot of basketball games that way, right? Because you're taking care of the ball and you're locking up. So, I was impressed with Marquette. I was very impressed with Tennessee. I haven't seen a Tennessee game until I watched them play Baylor, and maybe Baylor's just more overrated in my mind than what I previously thought. But good Lord, they can shoot the basketball. I mean, they had one that I forgot the guy's name, but I think he had like 25 points in like 3 minutes or something like that. You're just jacking up threes. I'm impressed. They seem to have a really good system defensively. They are prone to turnovers versus Louisville. They had 12 assists to 20 turnovers, so they kind of got to clean that up if they want to win the SEC. But are they your favorite for the SEC right now? Like maybe Auburn?
I think at this point it's them or Auburn, and we're gonna learn more about Auburn this week too. So you know, I think if you gave me decent money on either one, I'd probably go ahead and bet them over the field. I don't think Alabama's going to come up. Just what we've seen from them. You know, you still have Florida kind of waiting in the wings, but I don't think they're doing it either.
And I've watched a few of the Florida games, and they're impressive, but like they're not like Tennessee or Auburn impressive. Like those two teams right now, when you think of like impressive, put together, top to bottom, offense, defense, just fundamentally sound, I think Tennessee and Auburn. Florida's always perennially been pretty good, but I'm not sure if they're ready for that conversation yet. I mean, shooting the lights out of the ball, Rick. They're shooting 53% from the field and 42 from three on like 133s and 330 shots. Like, and they're not playing cupcakes. They played Louisville, Virginia, Baylor. Like, I'm impressed with Tennessee. I don't want to put them on notice just because they're moving up pretty quickly, but impressive team. Really impressive team.
One other call out I had was our number 8, Iowa State, down 2 spots, really through no fault of their own, playing good basketball here. 344th in Ken Palm's luck rating.
What does that mean?
That means that this Iowa State team is significantly better than what we've seen.
That's what luck means?
Yeah, so luck is Ken Palm's luck is expected wins versus wins and win shares. So like this is a really, really bad Iowa State team. And when that regresses to the mean, they're going to start blowing teams out. So obviously they're going to come into their Big 12 schedule with some bangers.
Yeah.
But if they've been unlucky up to this point and they get lucky, this is a team that might go on a run. We've seen Kansas look a little soft.
Yep.
Cincinnati. This is a team. Oh, Baylor's already showed us kind of who they are going to be this year.
Yeah.
If Iowa State can get hot and beat some of these teams on the road, that might be a team to watch here, and they might stick around the top 10 in our rankings for a while.
Their wins look impressive too, right? Like they just nothing's had really been that close for them. I have them 3 on my top 25. I mean, I was a fan of the way they played last year. I'm a fan of the way they're playing this year. So until they prove me wrong, kind of like Baylor has, I'm going to keep them pretty high just because they, I like to proactively look at strength of schedule too, which we talked about last week. So another thing I had, and I'm just letting you know right now, I have this note. I'm going to read you the note that I took word for word. Arizona, you're not getting back into my top 25 for the remainder of the year. I don't care if you lost to Duke, who is a top 10 team. You look like ass. That's just word for word what I had said. Their best win right now is Old Dominion. They've played 2 top teams, and they've got slacked both times. There's nothing to me that they can do right now to get back in my top 25. And the downfall of Caleb Love needs to be studied, bro. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is a player of the year candidate last year. I apologize. He was a player of the year candidate this year. 18 points on 41% from the field last year. 10 points on 32% from the field this year. He's 16 for 50. I could throw you out there in an Arizona jersey, and you could probably, out of 50 attempts, make 25. Like,
especially for the NIL money he's
making. So they look real shaky. You called them out very early, and I think you nailed it. Every team that they could have lost to, they're losing to, and I'm just not. Yeah, they got to beat like Kentucky. They got to beat they got to beat some big teams to get back in my top 25. So I don't know what your thoughts are.
Well, I actually put them on notice this week. And my note here is you don't have the pedigree to eat bad games.
Correct.
This is not a blue blood. This is a new blood. Correct. They've been very successful in recent history against a pretty shitty Pac-12, all things considered. Oregon and Baylor have gone on some runs, but like this was an Arizona team that was getting through conference unscathed because they didn't play anybody. So you can't lose games you're not supposed to lose, expect to be in the conversation. Arizona down 6 spots in our rankings to 23. And, as other teams perform, they're not going to sit there for much longer. They don't have those opportunities to prove themselves. I mean, even now, Oregon's gone. You don't get a chance to play them. So, like, it's a decent Big 12.
Yep.
But I just don't see it. And I think that the Arizona that we've come to know in the last, probably it's only been 8 years, was a flash in the pan, and that's not real. Obviously, like recruiting takes a while to taper off, but you play like this and your recruiting is going to taper off. Like, there's other schools to go play it.
And it's wild to me because you look into like some of their statistics, and they're pretty, like, it doesn't make any sense. They're out rebounding teams by 15 rebounds a game, but they're shooting so poorly that it doesn't matter. Like they could out rebound the team by 20 rebounds, but if you're not making your shots, there's no point, right? They're getting 18 points off of turnovers a game, so they're playing defense. They held Duke to 67, but again, if you're shooting 30%, it doesn't make any sense to me. And you think of Arizona in the past and Pele Larson, and they had that I forgot what his last name was, but they pounded the ball inside. They worked it inside first, and they kicked it back out to Caleb Love so he could fire off threes. And that's what worked for him last year. But now you think, just to your point you just said, like, have they just been overrated for the past 8 years? I'm pretty sure they have, because now they're facing real competition, and it's not working, right? So, yeah.
Well, and when they got to the Elite Eight in the Final Four, they were getting steamrolled.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like a WNBA game, man. It's like they got all those boards, but how many of them are offensive boards? They can't shoot. They can't shoot at all, and it's gonna come due here.
Yeah, real soon. It's wild to me. The 15 rebound a game margin includes Duke, where they got out rebounded 43-30. So just to give you, like, They confuse me. I don't understand it. But they're going to have to play Iowa State, and they're going to have to play. Baylor. Baylor's not even that great, but are we sure they're going to beat Baylor right now? Like, probably not, right? So I don't know. I think once they get into conference play, it's going to be a little bit rough for them this year. Yeah. So
another team might have some trouble come conference play, but isn't done losing yet. Texas is my other team on notice. And much like your opinion on Arizona, if Texas loses to UConn, which they should,
yes,
it's done. They're out of my top 25 for the year.
Yeah.
This is a team that has all the talent in the world and just can't put it together. And losing to an elite level team is just going to kind of push them out of consideration for me. I just can't take a team with that many losses with as tough a schedule as they have and let them play their way back in when there's teams out here like Pitt who are scrapping and trying to win games. And Texas looks like lackadaisical. I think UConn's going to put a smackdown on them. I think it's going to be visually and box score wise so bad that I'm never going to be able to wash the taste out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, and again, they looked poor against Ohio State, and I think you and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. We said, you look bad against Ohio State. Like, you got some big boys coming up here, and it's gonna get ugly pretty quick. So I never really had a lot of faith in Texas as like a basketball program. You know what I mean? And especially with the move to SEC, like you and I have talked about. Life's not gonna get easier for them if they're to play UConn, right? It's gonna go UConn and then SEC opponents, and then you're just gonna get steamrolled. So I agree. Yeah, I like your teams on notice.
Who are you putting on notice?
Yeah, I think this is my second consecutive week with Dayton on notice. But there's a reason for that, and I'm not. So they lost to UNC, but they only lost by 2, right? And so to me, again, you think of St. John's, you think of Dayton. You think of Rutgers, these little guys trying to come up and make a statement. And to me, that tells me, even though you played pretty poorly on defense, fouled UNC 27 times, leading to 27 free throw made for UNC. And even though you turned the ball over a little bit and kind of had interior meltdowns on defense, you only lost by 2. You grabbed 11 offensive boards against a team that's taller and arguably more athletic than you, right? So I think, for me, I want to stay positive about Dayton because if they play well and they kind of clean up their act on the interior defense side, and then just perimeter defense not fouling as much, I think they're going to run through their conference, in my opinion. They look like the best team in the conference this year. And on top of that, their offensive approach is really nice. They got 5 guys averaging over 10 a game, above 50% shooting. Like, to me, that means they're working the ball around, they're finding the right shot. So Dayton just makes me feel warm. Like, they're just like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, still sitting at the 37 in the Ken Palm. They are just ahead of VCU.
Yeah.
But I mean, they have the opportunity to win more of these games, and the A10 is a good conference. So wouldn't be shocked to see them back in our list here at some point if they go on some runs.
Yeah.
But,
I think to your point earlier in one of the our first sessions was, you're playing tough teams early. You're getting tuned up. You're facing tough guys early. They're playing like Iowa State tonight, and then like Marquette. I mean, they schedule tough, man. So it's like even if you lose some of these games to these perennial top 10 teams, like you're trying yourself early and hard enough that when it comes to conference play, I think you're going to go through it pretty easily. Of course, pending VCU. And then my other one is Creighton. I forgot what I put in the note, but I think we need to share it with the folks. Creighton to Nebraska, really, and then all caps worst loss of the year. Let me tell you why. Did you know there's a school named Bethune-Cookman?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a school. They almost lost. Nebraska almost lost to them. Gave up 70 points to University of Texas, Rio Grande, and lost to St. Mary's. This is Nebraska. How? Like, how in the world did Nebraska go into your joint and beat you? It doesn't make sense to me. And then, because I'm a nerd, I went and I did my research. Kalkbrenner, the big guy, I think that we had talked about as potentially player of the year, Ryan Kalkbrenner. He's averaging 22 points and 10 rebounds on 87% from the field. 87% from the field, right? They've still shot 153 3-point attempts and the 3-point attempts account for 53% of their shot attempts. And they're shooting 30%, 47 for 153. They have height. Historically, they've been a good shooting team. But you have a player of the year candidate who's 7'9". Give him the ball. He showed you he can go to work and score for you. Please give him the ball. And they got away from that in Nebraska. They were sloppy passing. I'm just disappointed in Creighton, man, because I think, you and I had high hopes for Creighton coming into this year. They're playing some good, tough teams, Kansas, and I think they're playing Marquette too, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just disappointed, very disappointed in Creighton, man. And if they don't clean up some of their act and kind of get Kalkbrenner involved a little more,
well, that's the thing. Like, the pieces are there.
Yeah.
They have the ability to do what they need to do to win,
right?
And they're not. They're. I mean, I think the issue for me is I hate Nebraska. I just hate Nebraska. So to see a team that we were excited for, a team that at the end of it all is still going to be standing there.
Yes.
Look unconvincing in their wins and then drop a game against a program like Nebraska. Like, Creighton is supposed to be the best team in Nebraska. They're supposed to beat up on the little schools in Nebraska when it comes to basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to lose that, I mean, with all that pride on the line on top of your record and your season at home, those are the kinds of games where I kind of question the coaching, and I kind of question like the competitive makeup of your team. Like, do you understand how big of a deal this game is? Do you understand the consequences of having no effort and losing a game like that? They got the doors blown off them in the first half.
Was it that bad? Was it that bad?
It was 39-39 in the second half. They were down by 15 at halftime.
Oh. God damn, this got smoked, essentially.
So down 11, 35-24 at the half.
24 points at halftime as a team that continues to make deep runs in March Madness. It doesn't make sense. And I think that's why I'm getting on my high horse about this coaching stuff right now, Rick, is because it seems like a lot of these big programs, whether it's Creighton, whether it's Arizona, whether it's Alabama, it just seems like there's early season disconnects in their approach to offense, and it's not making sense to me. I don't know, man. So
so we're filming obviously live. If you're watching, if not, it's about 6:00 Arizona time. Have you heard of the San Diego State Aztecs?
I have.
71-53 over Creighton today. So
yeah.
I was looking because I knew they had some big games coming up, and I wanted to foreshadow it. They lost to San Diego State today, 71-53.
Yeah, so was that at home too?
This one might have been MGM. This is in Vegas.
Vegas, okay, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So that means to me, it's like you're looking
Texas A&M tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm not.
They're going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M is not performing to my expectations either. I don't even have them in my top 25 anymore. I'm tired of the way they look. But you look at Creighton at 22 right there, I can guarantee you, regardless of whether or not they bounce back and beat Texas A&M, you just lost to Nebraska and got smoked by San Diego State. I think San Diego State's tallest dude is 6'3". They're tiny. There's just no way, right? So,
well, and then they get to take a breath. They take a week off before Kansas comes to town on December 4th.
It's I'm gonna dive into that game, and I'm gonna recap it next week. But I guarantee you they fell into the same problem that they've done all season. They're getting away from what has worked historically for their program, just like Arizona is, just like Alabama is, and ultimately, like I said, it's gonna keep you prone to some big losses. And that's
6 for 31 from 3 and 5 for 13 from the stripe is not going to win you any games.
No, it's not. What they shoot overall? I'm just curious. How many field goal attempts did they take overall? If you don't mean
62, 21 for 62.
So again, over 50% of their shots were from the 3-point line, and they shot 2% or whatever it was. It's just not going to get the job done.
Awful. My other call out was Arizona. We beat that to death. We don't really need to go any deeper into that. We do not have a secret third session planned for today.
No, not today.
We're at 30 minutes. Did you have any parting games or reactions or anything you wanted to call out for our loving fans?
No, look out for Alabama Rutgers tomorrow. I really like your call out there. I think that'll be closer than a lot of people expect. And then next week we got a monstrous selection of games of the week that you and I can pick from. So I'm excited, man. We got some big games this week. I think Marquette and Iowa State are playing. So it's gonna be a banger of a week, and just excited to get back to it next week, man, for sure.
Just a brief tip of the hat to Arkansas, new to our rankings this week. Arkansas is one of those SEC teams that'll be around. You'll be hearing about them on and off. But welcome to the top 25.
Yep, they won't sniff my top 25 as I'm Calipari to coach, so it doesn't really matter to me. So, but I'm happy.
I think they got in. I think they got in because the AP poll.
Or did I actually put them in my? You know what? I had them at 23. Never mind. I had them at 23. That was
you.
Yeah.
Oh, so did I.
I'm gonna leave it at 23. I'm gonna leave it at 23 until Ole Miss and Mississippi State impresses me a little bit more, and then I'm gonna slide them up. I'm looking for any excuse, man. Any excuse. So,
well, they beat. God, who was it? I thought they beat somebody meaningful.
By the way, speaking of meaningful games, do you know who else is playing in?
It was not, but
1 hour. How about number 5 and number 7?
Oh yeah, dude! I keep losing track of what day of the week it is.
Oh, I know. It's gonna be. That's in Las Vegas too, so that's gonna be an absolute banger. That's gonna be a fun one to watch, man. I'm really looking forward to it.
That line's like 2.5, 3 Kansas right now.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I don't know, man. Duke's pretty good. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna learn a lot. Win or lose, you'll have a much better idea about these two teams and what they're gonna do against top flight talent.
What's your inkling telling you about that game before we send the people home?
Kansas 3 and easy.
You think so? Okay.
I like Kansas by 7 or 8, maybe closest to 5 with the nonsense at the end of the game.
They got a couple extra free throws and stuff like that. You know, I think I'm gonna get on Shane Link. Oh no, we did game of the week. Never mind. But yes.
Yep, I'm locked in. Game of the week. Give me Houston.
Awesome. This is a fun one, man. We got a lot of big games this week. Looking forward to next week for sure. Really excited.
Yeah. It is possible we get you guys some content later in the week, but it is Thanksgiving, which is why our filming is a little askew.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us live, and thank you for joining us after the fact. Our secret third segments are out on the channel, and they're kind of evergreen. We're trying to make that content just a little broader, stuff you can look at later in the season and laugh at mistakes we made or bad calls, but it's a lot less like right now intensive. So you can go and watch those whenever. If you got a lunch break or if you pay for YouTube Premium, you can just like have it run in the background with your screen off. We don't care. Listen to us. Get the views in there. Like and subscribe.
Please.
And
get your butts on
Chain Link. Yeah.
God, look at
it's going well, man. Everything's going well.
Yep. Awesome. Well, this is a fun one. I'm gonna get over and watch this Bama Houston game like ASAP.
Yep. It hasn't tipped quite yet because it's these tournament games and they're never on time. But
yeah, good point. Awesome.
All right, thanks for joining us. Dead ball dancing. Watch for maybe some Thanksgiving content. No promises. We will see you next week, however. Absolutely. And until next time, we appreciate you guys.
Peace out.
Peace.